All right, let's get right into it. Look, we both know you've got the vision, you've got the drive to be a truly high-impact leader. But there's that gap, right? The one between knowing what you should be doing, the deep strategic work, the team development, and what you actually manage to get done by the end of the day. So today, we're going to install a new operating system, and this isn't about working harder, it's about training smarter. We're going to build your personal playbook for disciplined leadership. So let's just start with the question that I know is on your mind, because it's on every leader's mind. Why is it so unbelievably hard to do the things you know you should be doing? You've got that quarterly strategy doc on your list. You need to prep for that really important one-on-one. But then the day ends, your inbox is at zero, and your most important work hasn't even been touched. What is going on? And here is the absolute key, and I really want you to let this sink in. This is not a moral failing. You're not lazy. It has nothing to do with a lack of ambition. It's simply that your brain has been conditioned. It's been trained by this hyper-reactive world we live in to chase the easy, immediate wins, like clearing notifications, instead of going after the difficult, high-value work that actually moves the needle. And that brings us to what I like to call the discipline delusion. See, we all think that if we just grit our teeth and try harder or somehow find more willpower, we'll finally get it done. But that entire approach, well, it's actually setting you up for failure because you're literally fighting a battle against your own brain's wiring. What's so powerful about this is how it completely reframes the problem. We treat willpower like it's this endless well we can draw from, but it's not. It's a battery, and it drains every single day. You can't win a daily battle against yourself. So the goal isn't to force it. The goal is to build a system. Think of it like an operating system for execution that just runs in the background, making the disciplined choice the easy choice, the default choice, not the exception. Okay, so how do we actually build this new system? Well, we don't try to go from 0 to 100 overnight. That's just a recipe for burnout. We start smart. So here are the first 3 actions. These are going to build the foundation for everything else that follows. This right here, this is your starter kit. So instead of blocking 4 hours for strategy, which your brain just sees as this giant, scary monster, you commit to writing just 1 slide. That's starting small. Then you turn off your email pop-ups, you put your phone in a drawer. That's engineering your environment. And finally, when you're just staring at that blank page, feeling that resistance, you tell yourself, I'm just going to work on this for 5 minutes. That's the 5-minute rule. It's the key that turns the engine over. It's not even about the work you do in those 5 minutes. It's about breaking that powerful pattern of avoidance. So once you've gotten good at just starting, the next level is about sustaining that focus. For any leader, your ability to think deeply without distraction, that is your single biggest competitive advantage. But just like any other muscle in your body, it has to be trained. It's probably a little weak right now. And this is the enemy we're up against. It's called overstimulation. Your brain is getting this constant drip, drip, drip of dopamine from pings, from alerts, from quick email replies. It's literally being trained that busy feels productive and good. So when it's time to do the quiet, focused, strategic work, your brain basically throws a tantrum. It feels bored. It feels slow. And that's not your fault. It's a real physiological response that we have to retrain. Which brings us to a strategy that, I'm going to be honest, most leaders want to skip. But it is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to learn how to handle boredom again. Reclaiming your ability to just sit with your own thoughts without some external ping for 5 minutes, that's where you start connecting the dots that everyone else is missing. And this is the payoff, right here. When you can sit with a tough problem for 20 minutes without instinctively reaching for your phone, you allow your brain to actually go deeper. All the noise of the day-to-day starts to fade out, and the signal, the real strategic insight, that's when it has a chance to emerge. That quiet space is where true leadership happens. All right, now we're going to build on this, because tactics are great, but they won't stick unless they're anchored in something much deeper. See, true long-term discipline isn't really about what you do, it's about who you believe you are. Your brain, it needs proof. It needs to see that this new behavior is actually working. So every single time you complete one of those focused work blocks, you mark it down. A simple check mark on a calendar is all it takes. This isn't about judging the quality of the output, it's about honoring the effort. You're building this visible chain of evidence that proves to yourself, hey, I'm becoming the person I want to be. You have to protect that momentum. Okay, this one is subtle, but it is so powerful. The word trying. Think about it. It automatically gives you an out. It presupposes that you might fail. It's the language of someone who isn't really committed. So as your coach, I'm telling you right now, we are eliminating this phrase from your vocabulary. This is the identity shift. You don't act your way into a new belief. It's the other way around. You believe your way into new actions. So from now on, every time you choose that focused work over the easy distraction, you remind yourself, I am a disciplined leader. This is just who I am. And you'll be amazed at how quickly your actions start to line up with that declared identity. And now for the final piece of the puzzle. This is the one that really ties it all together. Honestly, this is the hallmark of every single great strategist I have ever worked with, the ability to trade short-term comfort for a much bigger long-term gain. This slide really lays out the choice a leader makes, not once a year, but a dozen times a day. See, anybody can be a reactive manager, just clearing the inbox, fighting fires. That's instant gratification. It feels good for a second. But a true leader, they choose delayed gratification. They invest an hour in mentoring a team member, even if it means an email has to wait. They block out a whole morning for strategic planning because they know it's the highest value use of their time. This choice is the absolute essence of executive decision-making. So, we have the theory. We've got the strategies, but now comes the most important part of all, turning this into real, actual action. Because a playbook, well, it's pretty useless if it just stays on the shelf. So here it is. This is your new operating system. It all starts with those tiny actions, which then build into sustained focus, and it's all anchored by that powerful new identity. This is the playbook for moving from being constantly reactive to being truly strategic. And so we end here. This isn't about changing your entire life overnight. It's just about the next choice. What's it going to be? Is it putting your phone in a drawer for the next hour? Is it committing to just 5 minutes on that project you've been dreading? Whatever it is, just make that one choice. Because the leader you become tomorrow, well, that person is built on the single disciplined choices you make today.